Hi students, welcome to this session 7 on current electricity. So in this session we will learn about the meter bridge construction and theory, and also we will learn about the potentiometer, the construction of potentiometer, its principle and applications of potentiometer. In fact, there are two applications. One is the comparison of EMF of two cells, and the other one is the determination of the internal resistance of a cell. Now that is one thing. Coming to this meter bridge, see, actually meter bridge is the practical form of a Wheatstone's network. You know that Wheatstone's network contains 4 resistors connected in the form of a quadrilateral, cyclic quadrilateral. Between a pair of opposite corners a galvanometer is connected, between another pair of opposite corners a cell is connected. Similarly, here meter bridge, if you consider here, this meter bridge, please remember, it contains a wire AB. Here is a wire A to B. This is a wire of uniform resistance and uniform resistivity, uniform thickness. So this is a wire. This wire is stretched on a wooden board and fixed at the 2 points A and B. Now notice that from A there is a L-shaped metal strip. Notice the cursor here. L-shaped metal strip is there from A. And again from B also there is a L-shaped metal strip. This L-shaped metal strip, two L-shaped metal strips at A and B are fixed on the wooden board, and see that there is one more metal strip here. If you observe the cursor, you will notice that there is a one more metal strip. See that the L-shaped metal strip and a straight metal strip is so fixed on the wooden board such that there are two gaps, one on the left side, the other one on the right side. So in the left gap, a resistor whose value of resistance is not known is connected. You can call it as X. And in the right gap, you just connect another resistor or resistance box whose value is known to us, and in these gaps, between these two gaps, there is a point called D, and from D you connect a galvanometer, and from the other end of the galvanometer you connect it to a device called sliding contact, which is also known as jockey. This sliding contact or jockey can run over this wire. That means it can be slided from A to B, any point from A to B. So, and in this direction from A you connect a positive terminal of the battery, and from the negative terminal of the battery connect it to the plug key, other end of the plug key connected to the end B. So this is the meter bridge. This meter bridge is exactly similar to the Wheatstone's network. As you know that in Wheatstone's network there are 4 resistors. Here also we have got 4 resistors. One is X, the other one is R. One, which is X, connected in the left gap. The other one is R, connected in the right gap. With the help of this jockey or sliding contact, we divide the wire AB into 2 resistors. AC represents a wire of one resistance, one part. CB here in this diagram represents the resistance of the other part. So totally there are 4 resistors, X, R, and the wire of resistance, I mean the wire AC having some resistance, and the wire CB having some other resistance. So 4 parts, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here the third part is the wire of resistance or the wire of length AC, and fourth part is the wire of length CB. It will have some resistance. This will have some resistance. So therefore there are 4 resistors. Between the opposite corners, say D and C, a galvanometer is connected. Between the other pair of opposite corners, say A and B, a battery and a key is connected. Look at the equivalent form of this Wheatstone's network and just compare them. It is exactly equal, which means the meter bridge is exactly the practical form of the Wheatstone's network. Here this wire AC, say the length of the wire is L centimeter, it is not 1, it is L. So the length of the wire is, say, L centimeter. This L centimeter wire will have some resistance, and remaining is 100 minus L, because the length of the wire AB is 1 meter 100 centimeter. Therefore, the remaining length is 100 centimeter. So, therefore, the resistance of the CB part of the wire is directly proportional to the length, and the length of the wire is 100 minus L. It is not 100 minus 1, it is 100 minus L. So, here the resistance is directly proportional to length. Resistance of AC part of the wire, resistance between A and C is directly proportional to L, whereas the resistance between C and B is directly proportional to 100 minus L. So, I repeat again, there are 4 resistors here. One connected in the left gap of the meter bridge, this resistance is not known, it is unknown, X, and there is one more resistor or resistance box whose value of resistance is known to us, that is connected in the right gap. And similarly, with the help of the sliding contact, the wire AB can be divided into 2 parts. So, here between A and C there is a wire of length L whose resistance is proportional to L, because you know that resistance is directly proportional to length L. And here there is one more part of the resistance, that is CB, the wire CB whose length is 100 minus L, because the total length of the meter bridge wire is 1 meter or 100 centimeter. So, 100 minus L, R is directly proportional to 100 minus L, R is directly proportional to here between RAC means resistance of AC part of the wire is proportional to L centimeter, and resistance of CB part of the wire is proportional to 100 minus L, 4 resistors. Now, in the other pair of opposite corners between A and B, a battery is connected, plug key is connected. Another pair of opposite corners, that is D and C, a galvanometer of resistance G is connected, similar to this one. So, this is the construction and the theory of the meter bridge. Now, we will learn the working of that meter bridge, how it works. Now, see that it so happens that this sliding contact, you can slide it from the end A until the end B. Say at some point, somewhere here, at some point, see that the bridge becomes balanced. Say the bridge becomes balanced when the sliding contact is kept at C, the bridge becomes balanced. What do you mean by the bridge is balanced? The bridge is balanced when the current in the galvanometer is 0, Ig is equal to 0. When the current in the galvanometer here, when the current in the galvanometer is 0, we say that the bridge is balanced. So, you just keep on sliding the wire, that is sliding the contact, sliding contact jockey from the end A and on the wire, say until the galvanometer shows 0 deflection. So, what is the conclusion? That when the galvanometer shows 0 deflection, when the galvanometer is showing 0 deflection, it means that the current is not flowing through it. When the current is not flowing through the galvanometer, just understand that the bridge is balanced. When the bridge is balanced, then it is very clear that P by Q is equal to R by S, balancing condition. Here in the place of P, you have got X, and in the place of Q you have got R. P divided by Q is equal to R divided by S. Just think this. So, that means X divided by R, ratio of the resistances in the adjacent arms, that is X divided by R, is equal to resistance of AC part of the wire divided by resistance of CB part of the wire. the resistance of AC part of the wire is directly proportional to L, and the resistance of CD part of the wire is directly proportional to 100 minus L, which is in centimeter, or 1 minus L if it is in meter. So remember this balancing condition again. What is that balancing condition? The ratio of the resistances in the two adjacent arms of the meter bridge is equal to the ratio of the resistances in the other two adjacent arms of the meter bridge. So that means resistance X divided by R is equal to resistance RAC, which is proportional to L, divided by resistance of RCB, which is proportional to 100 minus L. So this is the balancing condition. Remember again, when the current, now you can just slide the point C, you move the point C from the end A until this point say. When you arrive at this point, imagine that the current becomes 0. If the current becomes 0, network is balanced. If the network is balanced, then X by R is equal to L divided by 100 minus L if it is in centimeter, or X by R is equal to L divided by 1 minus L if it is in meter. So now you know the value of R, you know the value of L, you know the value of 100 minus L or 1 minus L, you can calculate the value of X. That's it. You can see that in the next slide. Here, see that here we have connected the resistance. In the left gap we have connected what? Resistance P, which is not known, and in the right gap we have connected the resistance Q, which is known. Q is known and P is not known, assume. Then you move this point, the other point of the sliding contact, I mean other point connected to the galvanometer, which is known as sliding contact, move it from the end A, start moving towards the end C. At some point here, you just get the zero deflection. At the point say D here, you get a zero deflection. What do you mean by zero deflection? When the current, zero deflection means the current through the galvanometer is 0. The current through the galvanometer will be 0 only when the bridge is balanced. So when the bridge is balanced, please remember, when the bridge is balanced, the resistances in the adjacent arms, that is P divided by Q, is equal to R divided by S. Here R represents the resistance between the wire between A and D. Resistance of the wire between A to C, there is a wire. So AD represents the resistance of length L, the resistance of the wire of length L. Similarly, DC represents the resistance of the wire of length 1 minus L. Notice this 1 minus L. So that means here R is proportional to L. Here S is proportional to 1 minus L, because the resistance is directly proportional to length L. It is of course inversely proportional to area, but area is same and resistivity is also same. Therefore, those things can be taken constants. So therefore, listen, resistance R is proportional to L, S is proportional to 1 minus L. We have got 4 resistors here, P, Q, R, S. And when the bridge is balanced, P by Q is equal to R by S. Check this, P by Q is equal to R by S, but R is proportional to L and S is proportional to 1 minus L. You will take 1 minus L if the length is considered in meters, or else you will take it as 100 minus L. Now substituting for R and S, here R is proportional to L, S is proportional to 1 minus L, or if you want to write full, R is equal to rho L divided by A. S is also equal to rho 1 minus L divided by A, that rho and A. Here also rho and A will cancel when you take the ratio, that's it. So P by Q is equal to R divided by S. In the place of R by S, you can write L divided by 1 minus L. I repeat, if you consider the length or measure the balancing length in meter, you will take 1 minus L. If you measure the balancing length in centimeter, you will take 100 minus L. That is the difference. So now the value of P is equal to Q divided by L minus 1 minus L. If you know the value of Q, anyhow you will know the value of L. So if you know the values of Q and L, you can calculate the resistance of the wire P. I mean resistance, unknown resistance P can be calculated. So if Q is known, L is known, balancing length. L is called balancing length actually. So what is balancing length? It is the length of the meter bridge wire at which the galvanometer shows 0. And since the galvanometer shows 0, the bridge is balanced. So therefore that particular length, we call it as balancing length. So this is the principal theory working of meter bridge. Having learnt about the meter bridge, now it's time to learn about one more device known as potentiometer. See, potentiometer. Actually, potentiometer, dear students, is an ideal voltmeter. It is an ideal voltmeter. You know, voltmeter is a device which is used to measure the potential difference. Voltmeter is a device used to measure the potential difference. Ammeter is a device used to measure the current. Here potentiometer is an ideal voltmeter. Why I am calling it as ideal voltmeter? Very simple. Because any device, measuring device, should not draw current from the battery. Which means, suppose say if you connect voltmeter across the resistor, for the voltmeter to function, some current is required, and that current is obtained by the battery itself, by the cell itself. So that means this voltmeter is functioning with the help of the current which is drawn from the cell, general voltmeter. But this potentiometer is not like that. We have got the potentiometer, and that means the potentiometer will not draw current from the cell. It has got its own arrangement for the current what is required for it. The current required for it has got some separate arrangement, so that it won't depend on the cell. It won't depend on the cell. So that is the importance. Now if you want to understand that very clearly, look at this diagram. See here, this is a battery. This is a battery here, and this entire thing is a potentiometer. AB, this is entire thing is a potentiometer. For this potentiometer to function, it has got its own battery. Now if you connect the EMF here, source here, now notice that this EMF, I mean to measure the EMF of this one, it will not depend, I mean the potentiometer will not draw the current from the cell. The potentiometer, this potentiometer will not draw current from the cell. Got it? Because it has got the current from its own battery. It has got its own battery, and therefore. So whereas if you consider just a voltmeter, connect the voltmeter in a circuit, that voltmeter has to draw the current from the cell itself, because it has not got any special arrangement for the voltmeter to function. So dear students, just for the time being, you just understand this, because both the devices we have to do it in the lab in the sense practical class. Meter bridge also we have to do it in the lab, as well as potentiometer. Therefore you will understand very clearly, this is the practical subject, therefore you will understand very clearly then during the practicals also. Now try to understand as much as you can. So potentiometer. Now potentiometer actually is an ideal voltmeter used to measure the EMF of a source or the potential difference between any two points. Potentiometer is also used to compare the EMFs of two cells. It is also used to measure the internal resistance of a cell. So what is potentiometer? Potentiometer is an ideal device used to measure the EMF of a source. It can also be used to measure the potential difference between any two points. It can also be used to measure the internal resistance of a cell. It is an ideal voltmeter. Why it is an ideal voltmeter? Because it will not draw current from the source. It will not draw current from the source. It has got its own arrangement. Whereas any other voltmeter, if you connect, it has to get the current from the source only. It has not got any other alternate arrangement. Anyhow, that is the potentiometer. We'll move further and just check this one. Potentiometer, if you consider the potentiometer, one thing please understand very clearly. Yes, here construction of potentiometer. Now there is a wire AB, again there is a wire. This wire AB is of 1 meter length, or it can be 4 meter length, or it can be even 10 meter length. So one end of the wire A is connected to the positive terminal of the battery, and the negative terminal of the battery is connected to the plug key. Plug key is connected to a device called rheostat. Rheostat is a device where you can vary the resistance, and therefore you can control the current flowing in the circuit. So the other end of the rheostat is connected to the end B. This one, this arrow mark, this is connected to the rheostat, end B. So this is the construction. Listen again. So there is a wire whose length is 1, 4 or 10 meters. That wire is AB, and this AB wire, one end of the AB wire is connected to the positive terminal of the battery, and the negative terminal is connected to the key. From key it is connected to the rheostat. Rheostat is a current controlling device. You can control the current in the circuit. So, and from the rheostat you have connected that to the end B of the potentiometer wire. Now just listen. Suppose, say for example, if this battery is providing 20 volts, the meaning is very simple, dear students. If the battery is supplying 20 volts, that 20 volts is dropped between A and B. 20 volts is dropped between A and B. Suppose if the battery is giving 40 volts, if the battery is having the potential difference of 40 volts, then entire 40 volts appears between A and B. Entire 40 volts appears between A and B. So suppose now if you just check between A and the point, some point which is at the center, say for example, now I'll start from the beginning. Battery gives you, say for example, 20 volts. Battery gives 20 volts. If the battery is providing 20 volts, that entire 20 volts appears between A and B. A and B. If you choose exactly the center point, then the potential difference between the point A and the center of the potentiometer wire will be equal to 10 volt, because from A to B it is 20 volt, from A to the center of the potentiometer will be 10 volt. Now if you choose 1/4 point, 1/4 of potentiometer wire, it will be 5 volt. So 1/4 it is 5 volt, half it is 10 volt, 3/4 it is 15 volt, full it is 20 volt. I am assuming that the battery is capable of giving maximum of 20 volt. It is giving 20 volt. This 20 volt will drop between A and B. 20 volt will drop between A and B. So if you start going from A, the potential starts increasing and it becomes equal to that on the battery when you reach the point B. So therefore the potential drop across any part of the wire between any 2 points of the wire is directly proportional to the length of the wire. Check this one. If the length is off, the potential difference, potential drop is, I said 10 volt. If the length is 3/4, the potential is 15 volt. If the length is 1/4, the potential is 5 volt. When this is 20, when this is giving 20, just imagine when this is giving 20, then the potential at 1/4 is 5, the potential at off is 10, the potential at 3/4 is 15, the potential till the end is 20. Suppose now I say general, if the potential is V volt, if the battery gives the potential of V volt, then exactly at 1/4 end you will get V by 4, at the center you will get V by 2, at 3/4 end you will get 3 by 4 V, at last end you will get V. That means entire potential gets divided. So what is the meaning here? Very simple. The potential difference between any two points on the potentiometer wire is directly proportional to the length of the wire. So remember again, the potential difference or potential drop between any two points, say for example A and some point say D, between any two points, what is that? The potential drop on the potentiometer wire between any two points is directly proportional to the length of the potentiometer wire between those two points. So potential difference, potential drop is directly proportional to the length. Potential drop between any two points is directly proportional to the length between those two points. This is the principle of the potentiometer. See that V is proportional to L. V is proportional to L. As the length increases, the potential drop increases. As the length increases, the potential drop increases. So this is the principle of the potentiometer. So listen again. Theory of the potentiometer same, principle and theory both are same. Now just imagine I is the current flowing through the wire, and V is the potential difference across it. If V is the potential difference, according to Ohm's law, V is equal to IR, where R is the resistance of the wire, and phi is the potential difference per unit length. Phi is the potential difference per unit length of the wire. Then phi is equal to V divided by L, potential difference per unit length, similar to electric field intensity, potential difference per unit length. And this phi is equal to V by L is constant. Phi is equal to V by L is constant. So if L be the length of the wire, then the potential difference across it is given by V dash, which is equal to L into phi. Phi is a constant, V by L. So V dash is proportional to L. Just all I wanted to tell you is this: V dash is proportional to L. So if a constant current flows through a wire of uniform area and uniform cross section, then the potential drop along the wire is directly proportional to the length of the wire. This is known as the principle of potentiometer. So this is one thing. Potential drop between any two points of the potentiometer wire is directly proportional to the length of the potentiometer wire between those two points. That's it. So moving further, comparison of EMF of two cells. Now you have to focus your mind and listen carefully. See, here we have got the battery, key, rheostat, and AB is the potentiometer wire. And see that in the circuit we have included two cells, E1 and E2, and there are two keys, K1 and K2. And again the galvanometer is connected to the common terminal of the two keys, and that is connected to the sliding contact. This sliding contact can run on the potentiometer wire from A to B. It can run on the potentiometer wire from A to B. Okay. Now imagine again very clearly, this battery B, say, is providing V volt. If the battery is providing V volt, that means between A and B entire V volt will be dropped. Between A and B entire V volt will be dropped. Now if you choose the point at the center, if you choose this point C to be at the center, then what is the meaning? Point C at the center means between the center and the point A, then the potential will be equal to V by 2, because if it is providing V volt, between the point A and the center it will give V by 2. Between the point A and 1/4 end it will give V by 4. And now we have connected other cells E1 and E2. So you want EMF of E1. If you want EMF E1, then close the key K1, open K2. When you open K2, E2 will not be included in the circuit. Remember that. When you keep open K2, E2 is not included in the circuit. E2 is not included because the current from E2 will not flow because the K is open, K2 is open. Now, when you open K2, close K1, only cell E1 is included. Now, just try to move the sliding contact from the end A until you arrive at the point C. So what is the condition to arrive at the point C? The condition is the galvanometer should show zero deflection. Why it has to show zero deflection? Because the potential given by this battery, primary battery, is annulled by the EMF of the cell. Suppose, say for example, now the battery is 10 volt. I mean the battery provides 10 volts. If the battery provides 10 volts, please listen properly. If the battery provides 10 volts, all the 10 volts is dropped between A and B. And here just imagine that E1 is 5 volt. If E1 is 5 volt, this is giving the current in the negative direction. Therefore, the 10 volt here, and if you want 5 volt here, you have to bring the point C exactly to the center. When you bring the point C to the center, 5 volt of potential drop due to the battery and 5 volt due to the EMF of the cell E1, both flowing in the opposite direction, gets cancels, and therefore the current in the galvanometer becomes zero. So that means here it is balanced. I repeat again, dear students, listen, this is the important thing. Suppose, say, imagine that E1 is of 5 volt. If E1 is 5 volt and this battery is 10 volt, out of the 10 volt, 5 volt will be dropped from A to the center, somewhere here. So if you bring the point C to the center now, what happens? It so happens that the battery is providing 5 volt, the cell is providing minus 5 volt, therefore it will cancel, and therefore the galvanometer shows zero deflection. Or if the galvanometer shows zero deflection, then the power, I mean the potential of the battery and the potential of the cell both are cancelling each other because the galvanometer is showing deflection. So now you can measure E1 is proportional to L1. If E1 is more, then L1 is more. If E1 is less, L1 is less. That's it. So when you include K1, I mean when you press key K1, cell E1 is included, measure the balancing length L1. This balancing length L1 is proportional to E1. Now do one thing, remove the key K1, that means make it open and close here. When you close the key K2, what happens? When you close the key K2, now E2 gets included in the circuit, not E1. So E1 is not there in the circuit. When you close K2, E2 is included, and when you keep K1 open, E1 is not included. So when E2 is included, imagine the EMF is 2.5 volts. If the EMF is 2.5 volts, then you will have to bring the point C to 1/4 point here. So when you bring 1/4 point, what will happen? At 1/4 point, this battery is giving 2.5 volts and E2 is also having 2.5 volts, 5 volt, which will cancel, and therefore the balancing length later, second case, is L2, and that is known. I mean that has to be measured. So I just told you the example of 10 volt here and 5 volt here, 2.5 volt here. In general, it can be any volt. So now what happens? If E2, I mean if the balancing length L2 is there, then that is balanced by E2, therefore E2 is proportional to L2. Now take the ratio E1 divided by E2, that is equal to L1 by L2. That means, very simple, make this circuit, close the key K1, open the key K2, measure the balancing length. The balancing length, whatever you measure, that will be proportional to E1, or E1 is proportional to L1. Similarly, close the key K2, open the key K1, now cell 2 is included. Now measure the balancing length, that balancing length you call it as L2, that L2 is proportional to E2, that means E2 is proportional to L2. Now you know the value of L1, you know the value of L2, L1 divided by L2 gives you E1 divided by E2, that is how you compare the EMF of the two cells. EMF of the two cells. So having understood that, we'll proceed further. There is one more application, that is to determine the internal resistance of a cell. To determine the internal resistance of a given cell, now two cells are not included, the primary connections are same, no doubt. The primary battery, key, rheostat, the potentiometer wire AB, everything is same. So here we have got EMF of the cell, and in parallel to it we have connected a resistance box, and there is a key here K2, and that is connected to a galvanometer. This is the circuit. Now remember students, one thing you have to remember very clearly, that when K2 is open, please remember, when K2 is open, resistance here is not included because the current cannot flow through this resistance. K2 is open. So when K2 is open, only the cell is included. Only the cell is included. So when K2 is open and K1 is closed, when K2 is open and when K2 is open, K1 is closed, cell, only the cell is included. So therefore you will measure the EMF of the cell. You will measure the EMF of the cell. That means the length L1 is proportional to the EMF of the cell, or EMF is proportional to the length L1. Now do one thing, close the key K2. Of course K1 also. K1 is closed, K2 is also closed. When you include the K2, key K2, now close the key K2, resistance is included. When there is a resistance, then whatever you measure, that becomes terminal potential difference. See, I have told you this in the previous session. That means the terminal potential difference, if the cell is in a open circuit, if this is open, terminal potential difference in a open circuit is equal to EMF. Terminal potential difference in a closed circuit is equal to the potential difference across the resistor. So therefore, understand this, when you include K2, you are measuring terminal potential difference. When you open this, you are measuring only EMF of the cell, because only cell is included, resistor is not included. Only cell is included, resistor is not included. Okay. Now listen again. So first case, you will close K1, open K2, and you will measure the balancing length L1, and that is proportional to EMF of the cell. Second case, you will also close K2, resistance is included, and you will now measure the balancing length. That balancing length you will call it as L2, and that is proportional to the terminal potential difference, because the resistance is included in the circuit. Resistance is included in the circuit. So that is one thing you have to understand very clearly. Now notice that in the first case, EMF is directly proportional to L1. In the second case, terminal PD is proportional to L2. Terminal PD is proportional to L2. So E divided by V, take the ratio, you will get L1 by L2. E divided by EV is equal to L1 by L2. What is V? You know that V is the terminal potential difference when the resistance is included. So V is equal to IR. V is equal to IR. If you remember, I is given by E divided by R plus R. E divided by R plus R. I, the current in a Ohm's law applied to a simple circuit, you know. So current is given by EMF divided by R plus R into R. So that is the current. So remember, V is equal to ER divided by R plus R. Substitute for V and you just rearrange the equation for internal resistance. Substituting for V, you will get R is equal to small r, which is the internal resistance of this cell. This cell here, it has got internal resistance, and that internal resistance R is equal to capital R into L1 minus L2 divided by L2. Here L1 is the balancing length when the K2 is open, that means it represents the EMF of the cell, and L2 is the balancing length when both K1 and K2 is closed. It represents the terminal PD of the cell, or it is proportional to the terminal potential difference. So now if you rearrange this equation, you will get R is equal to capital R into L1 by L2 minus 1. By knowing the values of R, L1 and L2, you can find the internal resistance of the cell. Anyhow, these three experiments, experiment on meter bridge, experiment is there on potentiometer to determine the, compare the EMF of the two cells. Also we have got the experiment to determine the internal resistance of the cell. So you will also learn these three things in the practical classes. Nothing to worry. As much as you understand now, keep in your mind. Whatever that never goes into your mind, do not mind it, because you will have a very clear picture once we do this experiment, because these are the things to be explained taking the instruments, keeping the instruments. So soon we have the regular classes. I will clearly explain you both the meter bridge as well as potentiometer. For the time being, you just take whatever goes into your head and do not grumble too much. Okay, any of students will meet in the next session with the numericals. I'll announce that in the group. Okay, bye.